Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. It's the same sticky note, Nikki. Sticky Nikki. I shouldn't call you that. um, Same one. Just white balance was weird. Hello. A small brown bite beetle. Just found feel like a real entomologist. Absolutely. Logan, what's up? Storebot, hello. Tortilla. Janji, hello. Welcome back. Glad to see that the bugs didn't scare you off too much last time. Space Camp. Show ants or unsub. Well, let me tell you, we have got one for you today. So this past weekend, I went down to visit some friends, and we had a soups giving event, meaning that we got a bunch of our friends together. We all made soups, and we hung out. It was really really fun. Um, so that was like the main reason why we went down. I made Italian wedding soup, which is like orzo and spinach and meatballs and vegetables, and it was a big hit. I took a whole ass crock pot down with me, and I did not bring any soup home. So we had a pretty good turnout, and my soup was well received. So big dubs. It is a really fun idea. I didn't realize it at the time, like when we booked the weekend, that it was also one of our other friends' graduation weekends. So we just happened to be in town for that as well. Um, but yeah, it was a really good weekend for soup. But then Saturday was a bug day. I took back the first section of the Beatles I've been working on for that other museum, and I took back 14% of what they loaned me. So we are done identifying 14% of what they gave us. So I dropped that off Saturday morning, but then on campus down there is a plant called Kunti. Zamia is the genus, and it's a cycad. So it's sort of like a very early palm tree sort of thing. Hey, Sam. Hello, hello. And there is a family of beetle called Bellity. Nope. Try again, Roach. COO. um, there's a family of beetle called Bellity, which are cycad weevils. So they are only found in Florida and only found on the cones of this particular plant. This plant is considered threatened in the wild, but it's also one of the most common landscaping plants that we have in the state. So it's a really weird dichotomy of like, yes, this thing is imperiled, but also there's 5,000 of them on this college campus. So a little bit of an interesting dynamic going on there. But the male cones, uh, thank you for streaking Tortilla. And thank you, Nikki. You also had five. The male cones open this time of year. So in December, the male cones will start to open up and start to sort of look like corn on the cob. And these beetles are in between the little pieces of this cone. And I've never collected them before. I didn't really know about them the last time that I went to Florida, or the last time that I was in Florida. So I was like, well, this is going to be like a pretty easy new family pickup. Did I bite it? No. So they're actually like stupid toxic. You can't eat them. I think you can The fruit itself, like from the female cones, super toxic, but I think you can cook and eat the root. Um, it's like a big starchy kind of like palm heart. Does it taste like corn? No. I did know enough about the plant at the time when I was taking my plant taxonomy class back in like 2016. I did in fact bite one, and it was like that super astringent, like your mouth goes instantly dry with how bitter something is. It tasted like that. So even though it looks like corn, does not taste like corn. Um, Banana peel, worse, I think. I think it stronger than banana peel, but yeah, that similar feeling. Um, so we just get onto campus, we park, we find this first batch of plants, and I have a little white plastic tray, and we just go up to the plant, take the cone, and just start knocking it on our little tray, and we get beetles. It's not the right beetle at first because there's another family, this time a pleasing fungus beetle, um, that is on the cones as well, and they kind of coexist with these new weevils. So the first batch, the first cone that we knocked, did not have what we were looking for. But then the second one did, and the third one did, and the fourth one did. So I ended up getting probably 25 of them for myself. But then we were also curious because something very cool about the bellids is that we'll look at them on stream at some point. Probably not tonight because we've got a busy night, I hope. Um, but the males have these like really jacked front arms. They've got these like really big swollen front arms. And when we're, getting them in the field, we're like, man, there's only like a few males here. Most of these that we're collecting are probably females. So we wanted to check the sex ratios of like males to females in individual cones. So we ended up going around picking like, I think we ended up with 23. 23 cones that we were like, uh, these look pretty good. I expect there to be beetles in here. Then we took length and width measurements, and then we sat there and we pulled apart every single little thing, and we got all the beetles out of it. Now, um, going to share a resource with you all. Who's jacked? Tortilla? Yes, she is. But I am talking about this beetle that I collected this weekend. Granola, hello. Come on. Here we go. Scene, window capture. Ah, oop, didn't want to do that. Wanted to do this. So, this is the species that we were finding. And as you can see here, there are only 52 occurrences on GBIF. And GBIF is the Global Biodiversity Information Facility. It is a data aggregator. So it pulls in all of this data from like iNaturalist, from museum collections, and it basically pulls it all together, going, hey, these are where you can find these things, and these are like what they look like. And so this is the weevil that we were finding, and this one was a male. You can see he's got big jacked arms. And like I was saying, GBIF pulls from all of these different museums, all of these different observation things, and there are only 52 occurrences. Or that's with images, sorry. Uh, where are our totals? 52 occurrences and just 50 occurrences in general. Interesting. Anyway, it's not very many. There are not very many records of this thing because it's only found in Florida and it's only found on this one specific plant in winter, mind you. We found we were going through the cones and we were like, okay, yeah, here's like 3 males and 12 females. Here's 1 male, 5 females. We found one cone that had 120 of these weevils in it. A singular cone that had like 34 males and 80 some females. So just in one afternoon, we probably ended up with like 250 or 300 of these things. From maybe a 500-meter radius. So it really was not that hard to get these things. But it's not very common that I find a new beetle family, like a new to me beetle family, especially this easily. We could have been done in about 5 minutes because I walked up, I grabbed the second cone or whatever, and there they were. But we took some interesting data, and I don't know if we're going to do anything with it, but we do have records now of like the length and the width of the cone and how many beetles we got out of it. But I also have the other stuff that was in the cones. So there are different beetles in the cones. There were scale insects, there were springtails. And so as I count those up and make IDs on those, we might do something about talking about the sex ratios or about the other stuff that you can find in with this beetle. But anyway, this was a huge highlight for the weekend. New beetles are sick, and I love that. However, my friend that I was with is working on his PhD in doing beetle inquilines with ants in Florida. So he works on beetles that live in ant colonies. And so to keep his study species alive, he has to keep lots and lots and lots and lots of ants. And so what that means is that every time I go down there, I get a little bit of information and a little bit of supplies on how to better care for Calypso and the other ants that I'm working on. Do the ants ride them like mounts? No. In fact, the beetles eat the babies of the ants. It's like definitely not mutualistic. I won't spoil too much of his PhD because that's like a dick thing to do. But yeah, not a great relationship for the ants. The beetles get a lot out of it though. But anyway, so he works on ants and was showing me some of the different ways to make ant nests. And I think it is about time to upgrade Calypso. So I made Calypso a new tank or a new formicarium, and part of what I want to do today is see if we can get her moved into her new house. So, this is her old. We don't need that full blast right now. This is her old container. Inside, there's the test tube where she is, and then we have the red film on top. So, I didn't really think about this when I was constructing this this home for them, but I've covered the entire top with red. And so even though light can get in on the sides, they don't have like a great day night cycle because they always think it's dark because of all of the red. So we've upgraded from just having them in a test tube inside of one of these things to we made a brand new formicarium for them. And this is what it looks like. So this is plaster down here in the bottom. So this is all hard base, and it's the same type of container, but they now have all of this nest area. And then down here is where we are going to put the water tube and the sugar tube for them to go in. It has a much more naturalistic like shape to it. They have chambers. They'll be able to control how much water goes in because they'll grab it from the tubes down here. And then the key to this being a little bit different is that on top of that portion that we were just looking at, we have this little pane of glass that has the red film over it. So now we can still see into the nest chamber, which is what we want, so Space Camp doesn't have a fit. So we're able to see the ants on stream still. But now they're dark in the nest, but then all of their foraging area out here, like where the food and stuff is going to be light. So I'm quite excited to move her into here. And I prepped everything to do that yesterday. So right down here, there's a little hole. So that is their nest entrance. They'll be able to go down under the piece of glass into that opening underneath there. And I had to do a little bit of work on this yesterday to kind of prepare for the move-in. I think they deserve a castle. Well, carpenter ant colonies can get to like over 10,000 individuals. So we will have to continually upgrade Calypso as she goes. So stick around. But on here, on the inside edge, you guys might see that's a little bit cloudy. And that's because we had to apply this stuff called Fluon. It's also called Insectislip. And essentially what it is a very, very slippery barrier so the ants can't climb up and out. So whenever I have to go change water tubes or feed them or whatever, they're not really at risk of escaping because they've got this super smooth, super slippery edge on the wall. And you can make a knockoff version if you use baby powder and rubbing alcohol. But this is the name brand stuff. We got the good stuff. But you have to let it dry for like 24 hours before you put the ants in. So I greased everything up yesterday. And I also widened the nest entrance when I poked the hole for it while the plaster was drying. It wasn't big enough. I think Calypso's booty too big. And I think she's going to get stuck. Or I thought she was going to get stuck trying to move in. So the plan for today, heard we move in bugs. Yes. We're going to try at least, Ophelia. I don't know how much Code Veronica we're going to get. But the plan here is to leave Cam focused here on the nest entrance hole. And then put big hole shown. And then the plan is to take the test tube from the other setup and just set it into the new one. It's not designed to fit in there, so it's going to be a little bit tight. But we only need them to evacuate. And the idea behind this, the principle for what's going to work here, is that only this piece off to the left now, so the tunnel underground, is the only dark part. We're going to put the test tube in the box and leave the light on it. So the light is going to be shining on the entire test tube, hopefully making the ants panic a little bit and go, oh my god, we're uncovered, like something's going to eat us. And then they're going to panic, run around for a little bit. What a crazy first time chat. Welcome in. Try to take a NPC breeder first. Slippery bitch, loud bastard, why are you so loud? Yes, so they're going to get uncovered, essentially. They're going to grab all the babies, ideally, and what I am hoping is to go down into Granola. That's your husband? Hell yeah. Welcome to Bugstream, Mr. Granola. But yes, so the idea is we are going to keep the scope trained on the entrance here, and hopefully we will be able to watch the ants take the babies and take the queen and take all the other stuff down into this bottom part. I have no idea how well this is going to work, or even if it will work in the time that we have for stream tonight. The last time that I moved Calypso, I had to change out her water tube, and she was outside of the water tube for like 3 days. So I'm really hoping it goes quicker than that. We will have this cam up for a while, but I do have a couple of other things that we can do tonight, like play with power tools. And there's a new stream animal, friends. There are new critters in the Eventomology lore. So we're going to see if the ants do this for a little bit. And if not, I will switch over to power tool use. And then we can swap back to the ants every now and again. And then at the end, and then towards the end, we'll do the new animal review. So again, you're looking down at the entrance to the new space. I got more ants. I did not, Tortilla. Different critters this time. So yes, I'm going to quickly grab the tube that they're currently in, set it down in the new box, and see what happens. I hope they move as we wish, but again, they're animals, so probably not. All right. So we are in a brief state of panic at the moment. Oh my god. That took like 3 seconds. Holy shit. So right now they're exploring. There's a group of workers that are going around freaking out, kind of trying to figure out what's going on. And some of them have already sort of stumbled onto the nest entrance. Yeah, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8 workers, at least that I can see, that are out running around. Watching Salons with a half a gasoline noise. So they are running around trying to figure things out while there are also the main constituency of ants over here in the tube that are not quite panicking, but they're a little bit restless. They're a little bit restless compared to normal. And I think that's fair because they are going to have to move all of their brood. So all of the eggs and all of the pupa and the queen that are in here will need to get moved. And they don't really know where they're going yet because they haven't. But there's an ant that just went in. He has found the dark area. So there's at least one worker now who has found the nest entrance and actually gone in. They're not still down in there, but they're at least figuring out where the nest entrance is. And so I am hoping that our little lamp here that we've got is going to allow them to panic enough to move all that stuff out and hopefully go down the hole. We have an ant in the building, everybody. We have an ant in the building. Coming back up. So that ant just went down, scoped it out, that it was safe. And it came out now and it is attenuating, so taking its antenna and basically communicating to another ant about what it's found. And here goes another one down into the hole. So multiple individuals have now gone down into the hole and are checking out the surroundings. I'm going to post a picture in Bugcord real quick of what we got going on here from the sky view perspective. Because they're just exploring in there. They're still not sure what's happening. Another one just went down. Look at this. So once there are enough ants, or once there is a lead ant who comes back and basically goes, hey, I found a better place that is darker and seems safe, then they will start to move everybody. Sometimes this is very, very quick. When we were in Arizona this summer, there is a genus of ant there that are army ants, and they will go in and raid other ant colonies. And when you... Oh, going down. Nice. When you put an army ant in a regular ant colony, they all go, oh shit, we got busted into. And so they panic and bring all of the brood and all of the soldiers and everything kind of towards the top of the colony. And so they can decide to move their brood and move their setup really, really quickly. But because these ones are not really under any threat besides the fact that it's a little bit light out for them, I again don't know how long this process can or will take. It seems like that a lot of the panic has worn off. There's only 3 workers that are still out exploring the place. The others have gone in and have started, uh, it looks like, talking to and communicating with the ants that are still inside the tube. And from what I can tell, some of them are starting to pick up larvae. And so that is a really good sign that this is actually working. The thread is with the camera shot. Show larvae. Hopefully, we'll be able to see some getting carried down, but I just posted in the Discord and sort of at the bottom of the tube, there's also an ant sort of up to the left that is carrying a baby. So there's an ant down in the chamber looking to do corner checks coming out now. And you know, for them, it doesn't make sense to just move to the first place that seems like it makes sense. There is a process for them to figure out, like, okay, is this secure? Does that, yeah, make sure it's all clear. Yes. So make sure there's no like other ant colonies. Make sure there's not like a huge gaping hole in it that you're going to have to fix. But I have essentially given them the dream setup right now. And what they're doing is going, all right, so what's the catch? Right? We just had this big panic moment. And now all of a sudden we are seeing like the best house we could have asked for. What's the catch? Like what's the thing that could go wrong here? So, like we said, they're scoping it out, making sure that everything is good to go before they make the move. But they are starting to pick up the brood in the test tube. But in general, things have calmed down quite a bit. This one keeps going in and out, keep exploring. And that's one of the ants that's going to go back and be teleported to your dream house and it's free. Yeah. That's basically what this is. And they don't know it yet. But all of their other stuff is also going to be provided. So I have the little test tubes. So these size. And the way that I have them set up in the tank is that they're sort of alternating. So they lay like this. And one of them is sugar water, the other is just regular water. And so this is going to be one of their resources they're going to be looking for is sugar and water. But right now, with the big tube in there, there's not really a good place to put these in, just because the big tube is taking up the space that these should go into. And they're in a tube that has water right now. So there is not any danger of them like drying out or desiccating. They have water and they can take their time moving around. And they can take their time making this move. Again, I was hoping they would move quickly, for the sake of stream purposes. But, you know, if they get there, they get there. After this, we will let them calm down for a little bit. Give them a couple days before we jostle them again to bring them on stream. But fingers crossed, everything goes well, and we're able to just have a much better viewing experience because the red film that is on top of here is going to be flat rather than kind of like curving around the tube. And I think it will overall be better for the ants as well because now they've got underground space to go into, they've got more foraging space up top. Yeah, I just think this setup is quite a bit better. All right, the scout ant has re-entered the colony and is doing some antennal taps with some of the others that were in there. Maybe communicating some information of, yeah, I think this place is good, but it's going to send out. I bet there will be another few workers that come and join it to kind of verify the claims of it being a cool new place to live. Hmm. It's really going to piss me off if they don't move. If for some reason they think that the best option is to stay in the tube in the new house, that's going to be real Code Veronica annoying. Which, there is a way to deal with that. Um, it is just in a test tube. I could, turn them and basically dump them out. But I would rather them go on their own volition. Yeah. So I said I don't want to do it, Space Camp. So we've moved back to the main tube now. Uh, and you can see these couple at the front. The front left, they're doing trophallaxis right now, which is sharing of gut contents, basically. That's why those two looked like they were kissing. They were spreading uh, food between one another. But some of that was also probably internal communications of them basically transferring what they learned from their reconnaissance mission. Are there certain smells that would make an ant more attracted to a space? Yeah, probably ant pheromones, but very specifically from their own colony. I know that's like not the answer you're looking for, Doe, but ants do a lot by smell, and they have these things called cuticular hydrocarbons, which are the scent chemicals that are unique to each ant colony. So even if you have the same species of ant, a different colony of Camponotus floridanus, which is what this one is, would smell different to these ants than they would to their own colony. And so that's how you avoid having like raiders come into your ant nest, is they will identify you by smell. So these cuticular hydrocarbons are very unique to a specific colony, and that is oftentimes how inquilines will sneak by. The things like the beetles and the crickets and all those other things that live in with ants, because they live in the nest, they're able to chemically mask themselves with the scent of the particular colony that they're in. But if you take one of those ants or one of those crickets that's adjusted to living in a certain ant colony and you put it in a different ant colony, they will instantaneously be like, that is not supposed to be here. Get rid of it. And so that's where you'll get killed in the streets. It's like how your friend's house smells like friend house and your house smells like nothing. Yeah. Yeah. Explain to bugs that moving them is for their own good. Lord best the but in terms of other scents, Doe, I don't know what would specifically be attractive to them for a new colony location. Certainly, sugary smells and like sugary foods are attractive to them for foraging, but I don't know if there would be anything. Incredible tortilla. But I don't know that there would be anything besides like putting some of their old nest material, which they're in right now, so you can't really do that, to make it like smell like them. But as this pile is moving around, like straight down, you can see these white blobs, and those are going to be the eggs and the pupa of this colony. So those are going to be the things that we were looking for them to move. How close are these to longhorn crazy ants? Well, all ants are the same family. So, like how scarab beetles are a family, but they can have like really drastically different shapes and sizes and horns and whatnot. All ants are also the same species, and that goes from everything from like carpenter ants to bullet ants in the tropics. I don't know enough about ant taxonomy to answer that question, but Bug Guide will tell me. So, carpenter ants are formicines, and so are crazy ants. Um, so they're in the same subfamily, but they're in different tribes. So they're in two different groups of genera that they belong to. So not particularly close. Is what I'm getting at. I don't I don't know what separates them. They look very similar. These are, I would say, a good 2 to 3 times as big as crazy ants. So the scale is pretty different. But all ants, more or less have the same body plan. They have those like long elbowed antennae. They've got that really thin waist with the big butt. That's just an ant thing. I'm gonna go peruse the Eventomology library and see what the separating character is of them. Meg, hello. Now I have to know what the biggest ant is. That should be uh, Amazon giant ants. Um, Dinoponera. Is that right? Dinoponera gigantea. That's not helpful. Oh, thatch ant colonies. Yeah, that's crazy. So Dinoponera are in the Ponerine ants, which includes things they're very closely related to um, bullet ants. So these ones have a pretty big sting, but Dinoponera gigantea, um, total body length over 30 millimeters. Dinoponera gigantea is the largest species in the genus, reaching up to 3.6 centimeters total body length. So there's that. And 3.6 cm 2 inches is like 1.4. So the adults are over an inch. They're pretty big. All right. There's some more ants at the entrance to the tube. I'm gonna go grab an ant book, and we will be back in a second. But they're not gonna all move while I'm gone, so we'll be okay for just a minute. We got it. Ants of North America. So, very small book, small but mighty. This has a key to the different ants around the US. Phoenix! What's up? Thank you. Welcome in, Raiders. We are trying to move some ants tonight out of this tube that they're currently in into the brand new home that their old tube is sitting in. How did you guys finish that Lego thing already? That was crazy fast if it was. But thank you for being here. We're just taking a look now through this little ant book to try and figure out how where these two different kinds of ants separated that we got asked about earlier. Is this Calypso's colony? Yes, it is. Oh, desk cam broke. Oops. Joe, hello. No birds here, but we got plenty of bug. Oh, there's a worker out exploring again. Okay, so for those of you who missed earlier, I have let's full cam it. So this is the setup that we have right now. That test tube that's in there is the old ant colony, and then the red square on the left hand side of the screen is a new like underground colony that I built them. And so we have a little bit of a desk lamp on them because insects can't see red. And that makes that underground tunnel piece a dark, safe space for them to build their colony. While the desk lamp is simulating the sun being like, oh, we got uncovered. We're uncovered. We are visible currently to predators. We need to fix this. So it's a little bit messy because it makes the ants panic a little bit, but it also then makes them go, okay, we need to find a new place to live. And so the idea was that this would happen kind of fast. And it's not. We had a couple that went in and started exploring, and then they went back to the main colony and seemed to report back. But we haven't had much activity in a minute. But now there are 2 workers out exploring again. So hopefully one of them will find the tunnel that we would like them to go into, which is right here. We would like them to crawl down in here. And they did okay earlier. This is the entrance that we would like them to use. And so we're just hoping that we'll eventually get to see them carry their brood, so the eggs and the larvae, down into this new tunnel. But so far, it's not working. Don't think I've ever been to an Evan stream. I don't think you have either, Joe. But we appreciate you being here. Meeting in a few minutes. Why do you have like 7:30 p.m. meetings? That feels late, Joe. You're working overtime. Code Veronica applies to ants. Yeah. Any animal, really. They can always confuse it. Grasshopper. Go get Hopper from Bug's Life. Oh, Joe, this is Calypso. There's a command for this. Was it Bug's Life? What did I say? Yeah. It was definitely Bug's Life. Um, these are Florida Carpenter ants, Joe. I collected the queen singly over the summer, and since then she has laid a bunch of eggs. She's got a bunch of workers, and they're ready. They were ready to expand. Their little test tube colony was not doing it anymore. Yeah, Joe Mama. Oh, ant. They backed out. They're going back down the hole. Yes. Tree from active colony from nuptial flight. She was a nuptial flight. So I was blacklighting for other stuff. You know, I was looking for beetles and whatnot. And she flew in. And as she was walking around on the sheet, she dropped her wings, which is usually like a uh, pretty surefire thing that she's been mated. Why is that? There we go. Should be more in focus now. So yeah, she dropped her wings on the sheet, and I was like, well, I have a friend who helped me make this new nest over this weekend. Um, he was working on ants, and he was like, "Hey, you know, she'd be a pretty easy one to start. Like, try if you wanted to start trying to keep ants." So I had her for a long time. It took her. She laid eggs almost immediately, but then to get the first worker took almost 2 months. But from there, it was pretty quick. Her first set, her Nanictics, like the first workers that are smaller in body size than normal, um, we went from that to like 20 workers in just a couple weeks. So they're out exploring again, which is good. It's not as frantic as last time, but there's still just a couple of like these. I don't know if I want to call them sentinel workers, but they're scouts. They're looking and kind of double, triple, quadruple checking that this is like a wise move for them to make because they won't move the queen until they are super sure that they're going to make the right choice. I leave by drop by horse when I've been mated to rip space camp. Imagine leaving home for college, then on the way they're being abducted by an alien whose entire passion is making sure you live a life of luxury. Bro, I wish. Uh, is a single colony a single genetic pool, or does the queen require mating again? No, you're fine, Ozzy. The queen will mate on her nuptial flight. So, um, she'll be born with wings, will fly and emerge, mate with others of her species, and then she will go off to find a good place to set up shop. That is the only time that she will mate. They have a sperm storage vessel called a spermatheca that has nutrients that are able to keep the sperm in there alive. And so throughout her entire queenhood, which can be upwards of like 10 or 15 years, like on the good end of things, she will only ever mate those one time. And so all of these workers that we see running around are her daughters because really the only use for male ants is to like jumpstart this process. Colonies do not produce males unless they are at a certain size where the colony is a certain size that it is ready to reproduce on the colony level. Because in here, the queen is the only ant that's going to be laying eggs. All of these other workers are female, but they don't mate. So when the colony gets to a certain size, so like, let's say we hit 1,000 ants, and then they go, oh, okay, we're getting too big. Let's share our genetics by producing some alates, which are males and females that have wings. Then the next time that whatever atmospheric conditions there are, it be rain or heat or humidity or temperature, something in the ant tells them to go, hey, right now. And so that's when they will all take flight and leave. And that won't just be this nest. That would be, in theory, all of the colonies of this species in an area all getting the cue at the same time, so that the males and females from different colonies will fly out, mate with each other, and then go off and found their own colonies. But at that point, Calypso will still just be here doing her thing. They don't like stop at any point until the queen dies, that is. So yes, all of the ants in a single colony come from one bout of mating that the queen had however many days, months, years ago. Let's see. Colonies can get up to like 10,000 individuals. Do you expect yours to eventually get that big? If we do everything right, it could, Starberry. They don't always get that big. But if we keep expanding like this, meaning like upgrading when it makes sense to upgrade, we could get there. 10,000 feels like a lot of ants, though. So if you don't, like if they don't have the ability to expand, so if we don't move them into a bigger container after a certain point, they will restrict their own population. It won't be bad for the colony necessarily. They can still have this replacement rate, but they're not growing anymore. And that resembles like a natural phenomenon of there being a lack of food or other resources for them in the wild. So yeah, we can keep them under 10,000 if we want, or if we provide everything that they need, we could grow them to that many. UK, we have Flying Ant Day, which a few days in the summer there are loads of them flying about on the floor. Yes, 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 yes. That is called a nuptial flight space camp. RPM, hello. Thank you for the chat. Do we know what that trigger is? Maybe. Personally, I do not. So I work on beetles. Ants are kind of just like this side thing for me right now. But I imagine because there are nuptial flights for different species of ant all around throughout the entire year, the trigger for individual species is probably quite different. Obviously, during the summer where it's hot and humid and there's lots of rain, you're probably going to trigger a lot of things all at once because those are just generally favorable conditions to do things in. But then you also have like winter ants, which Prenolepis imparis, their nuptial flights are like right now in December in the southeastern United States. So it's pretty cold, and they're going to be the only ants that are out flying right now. So it changes from species to species, but I can't tell you exactly what it is for any given species on their own. Did I miss the questionable power tools usage moving ants? No. So we're trying to move ants, but the ants aren't doing much at the moment. So we might move on to questionable power tools and let the ants do their thing, and then we can put them back up on stage if we need to. We'll give them another like 5 minutes to see if they start making any big moves. There does seem to be more movement in the main chamber now. They all the workers and stuff have kind of stopped being right on top of the queen, and they've spread out a little bit more. So I don't know if that means that they're getting ready or not. Once we get to 10K, that's a good. Yeah, I don't know how big of a space I would need for 10,000 ants. It's probably a lot. Wonder why we only notice them for specific days a year than if it's specific species. Wonder why we only notice them for a few days a year then if it's specific species. Yeah, so there are species of ant that are way more common than others. So you're probably seeing the really big uh you're probably seeing like the big common species on those really big flights, but then there's probably lots of other small species and things that aren't as common, so they're not flying in as big of numbers that are maybe flying at the same time. The triggers and like the nuptial flights definitely overlap. So it's not like species A has to have it at like 52 degrees, the other one has to have it at like 53. There's probably some overlap in there of what causes them to go. But it's what I was saying when it's species specific is that what I meant to say, I guess, was they're not all triggered by the same thing. Might be old news, but you can see that queen ant that can lay eggs of two species. I did Starberry. I did see that. I did not fully read that paper. So I don't really understand how I can do that either. But I'll look into that because that shit was one of the things. What is the questionable power tool method? That's for a different project. So remember last week I was talking about these spade tip forceps and wanting to cut a slot in them for holding labels. That's the power tool usage. I have my vise back here and I have my Dremel that we're gonna cut these. The questionable power tools do not involve the ants. Um, Even though this hole that they're going in and out of right now, I did in fact make with the Dremel. So there's that, but I think the Dremel would really piss the ants off. I don't think they would like it, honestly. We could Quokka, but they've had a lot of stimulation for the day already. Um, Being airlifted out of your home box into a new box, they probably don't know what's going on. So we're gonna try not to disturb them with the power tools, even though they're gonna be on the desk that everything else is. So they'll probably get a little bit of it, but hopefully it won't disturb them too badly. I could see myself dedicating my life to studying ants. Might be my calling. Well, definitely. There's so much to learn about ants. Mini Pearl, hello. No, you have not yet. Do we? Ants want the power tools. Do we want power tools first, or do we want new animal first? While we give the ants a little bit of a privacy break. New animal, of course, of course, of course, of course. I first gotta go to work. Yeah. Okay, that's what I figured. Power tools are secondary. Okay, we are going full cam for a minute, and I'm just going to move the ants off of the scope, keep the light on them, and if anything starts to happen, I will put them back. Maybe this more direct light. I did change the light bulb out in here so it's not producing heat anymore. So I'm not really worried about cooking the ants like I was before when we were looking at them. But maybe this more direct light will help them decide to make the move a little bit faster. Okay, so as several of you know, I was down in Orlando this weekend. We talked about it already, just at the beginning of stream. And while we were there, I found a bunch of these new beetles. I found this new ant colony thing. But while I was there, we were just outside of this little planter, and my friend goes, "Hey, uh, do you want X species?" And I said, "Yeah, I used to have those, but I stopped buying them because they got expensive." And he goes, "Oh, there are a ton of them in this planter." And I went, "Well, shit, dig me some up." So we did, and we now have a box of dirt. Ooh. Do we have any guesses as to who is in the dirt? I'll be in Orlando in like a week. Yes, I know Ophelia. We have to make some planning around that if we're still gonna go to the zoo. Dirtbug's friends: a lion, Hank Cousin, Isopod, Joe Dirt. That is actually pretty funny. That's pretty funny, Corolla. Does anyone else have any guesses? Let me. I have to find some. There's more than one, if that helps with anything. This is not a singular individual. This is a group of new friends. I'm looking for soft four-steps. Not a lion. No, probably not. Is it a leaf? Well, there are certainly leaves in here. Leaves are certainly part of it. Stick bug? No. No stick bug. Ice pods is a good guess. They do enjoy a box of dirt. Jumping spiders before, but they wouldn't be in a box of dirt. I was looking for jumping spiders, so I am I am currently on the lookout for jumping spiders. So maybe soon. Centipede, possibility. They're here. Snails, we certainly do have snails. Roaches, another good option, but no. Beetle, that would be very on brand, wouldn't it? Colonel has a gummy skirt. Oh, very cute. Ophelia, yeah. So where I work, we're the ones who've eradicated those from Florida because those snails will mess everything up. Palmetto bug? No, 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 no. Well, the wait is over. I was teasing a little bit because Quoko was right. We got Hanks, baby. So these are bumblebee millipedes. They are not native to Florida, but they're all over Florida. And yeah, I've purchased these before, and yeah, they're just free outside. Very exciting. Very exciting. Oh, that's why they're not that yellow. I forgot to turn the light on. Here we go. Now you can see how bright they are. Very cute red and black. Lots of leggies. This one's going on the move. Just gonna track them in here for a while. Hopefully you guys are seeing what I'm seeing. Do they glow in black light? That's a good question, actually. Uh, I'll have to check. What do they taste like? Probably like cyanide. They do have a smell that I would rather not try and eat. So probably not that bad. Probably not that good. Shout out to Hank. Yes. Meg, I'll have to check if these ones glow in the dark. I actually don't know, and I don't have a black light immediately ready. But we are trying to contain some escapees at the moment. Have I ever tasted a buggy for science? Yes, I eat buggies for science like a lot. They're escaping. This is not this is not the best way to show them, but here we are. A lot like it's part of your food triangle. It has been in the past. So I did used to have a mealworm colony that produced way too many mealworms. So my roommate and I would make mealworm dinners sometimes. Um, but anything that like can be consumed, I try it. I've had crickets, I've had termites, I've had ants. There are these little things called cydnids or burrowing bugs that are related to stink bugs, but they taste like apple Jolly Ranchers. So I've I've tried many a bug. This one's fucking fast. This one's going zooming. Mealworms smell horrid. I bet if you get them from the pet store, but I was raising them, so they were eating like apple and potato and carrot. So I knew what they were eating. It wasn't a big deal. They were eating good foods. Just a little guy. Yeah, Vic. They're called bumblebee millipedes, so they're like yellow and black striped, and their legs are kind of red. They're not like bright red, but definitely red enough. I'm glad you clarified Space Camp. I was getting ready to call British CPS. Can I tell their ages? No. This one is the oldest, at least of the ones that we've pulled out, because it is large. But we have some very small ones, like only a couple millimeters, that are here in the dirt box. We probably have like 20 or 30 of these millipedes. Just because I was basically just scooping up dirt and grabbing whoever decided to come with us. So here's one that is the pretty yellow. And come on, stay curled for like 2 seconds. So this one you can see the more red on the legs. Where are they native to? These are Caribbean, so they're not like super far off from Florida, but they're not native to the U.S. But they've made their way up probably through like soil movement and things like this. But these were only found in Florida for the first time in like 2000, I think. So they've been here for like 25 years. Caterpillar Wicked Centipede. There they go. We've made no progress on the ant front. The ants are still there. Oh, this is going to be real cute. Evolutionary advantages to this shape and leg count. Yeah, that's a good question. So right now it's just kind of crawling over the lip of this little lid that I have it on. So it's coming up and then going down, coming up and going down. They eat dirt or detritus. Yes, they do. So they are in this little bucket of dirt, and it's got all kinds of like moss and dead leaves and sticks and sand and soil. I will start adding carrot and apple and like other bits of fruit and stuff to help with it. But honestly, they get most of their nutrients from like dead, decaying leaf material. Um, how big? Let's see. Where's my ruler is under the ants currently. Let's see if I can grab this out. Okay, so this one is about 40 millimeters. Which is like an inch and a half. But the big one that I had earlier that was out exploring, that one was probably closer to like a little over 2 inches for that one. And that's about their max size. These don't get really, really big like the African ones do. This is like a good mid sized millipede. Pinky size, yeah, that's a good. Let's watch him crawl across. And if you can see the legs kind of just like waving underneath. Mango. Okay, okay, okay. Nobody here, Meccan, but we're not judging you for it. Bye, Strawberry. Thanks for hanging out. Isn't it so cool though? It's like, yeah, I'm a bumblebee. I'm black and yellow striped, but also I've got this crazy flare of like pretty bright red legs. And so I'm just letting it's crawling around the edges of the lid. So I'm just kind of moving it where it's going and allowing him to crawl all the way across the frame. This it does straight up look like a monorail. The monorail has stopped. Unexpected delay. Oh, Ozzy, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. See you, Ozzy. Thanks for stopping in. Nice meeting you. .3D print them a monorail track. Enrichment. Show mandibles. They probably wouldn't like it. We could, but I don't know the best way to do that. Yeah. Oh, why are you guys just watching me? That's silly. You have bug monorail to look at. Choo choo. Roxers, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. 5 months. I can't believe it's been 5 months already. That's crazy. Um, it has taken a while, obviously. I did not expect the streaming to blow up like it did, so I didn't really think about sub badges and all that beforehand. Um, I have seen drafts. I have seen drafts of the sub badges. They're in the works, and the commission um, was set to be done before the end of the year. So, 2026 new stream with the sub badges. Also, in stream news, I think Logan is going to be here in a week. We got all my components in. All of the bits and bobs for the PC are here. And we have finally coordinated a time. So, Captain Temptation. I don't know, but welcome in. Thank you for the follow. But yeah, so I talked to Logan the other day. We scheduled it. He's gonna come up this time next week. Um, we'll have to double check about the PC building stream. I know you guys have asked about that, and I think it would be fun, but all up to Logan whether or not he wants to be on stream or not. When he does stream, he typically doesn't have a camera on. So that is totally up to him, and there will be no pressure from me either way. So I won't say no, but I won't say yes. Put a bag over Logan saying just clock it. Maybe not. I would like him to be able to see where he's putting all of my things. Speak of the devil. You pinged him. Logan, I just told them about our plan for next week, and they asked about PC build stream, and I said that was up to you whether or not you would like to remain anonymous or not. So no pressure either way. You don't mind streaming it? Oh, okay. Well, there you have it, folks. We'll see if we can get that going. Chat's LAN party. We we could now. Coming around the corner when she comes. She'll be coming around the corner when she comes. And one. Oh. Oh, we've stepped off of the lid and we're back on. Okay, saved. Saved. I saw someone ask if they like Friends or slash if what Hank would benefit from more Hanks. Um, I don't think it really matters. They're not social per se. They don't really interact with each other a ton, but their general requirements for like what they need to be happy and sustained uh just happens to make it so you can find a lot of them in very close proximity to one another. So I don't think they mind being with other millipedes, but I don't think that they like need other millipedes to be happy the same way that like the wolf dogs do. So that's just a convenience thing for having exciting box of dirt with many millipedes in it. Sun Moons, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Welcome to the Millipede Monorail. What about the time that they suplexed each other? I think about that all the time. I remember I was like, oh, maybe they're friends. Maybe it'll be nice. And then it was not. It was just so violent. We got some ants exploring. Nobody's making any big moves yet, but there's more ants going down into the tunnel just for an update on that situation. But here we've got some decent size. I don't know if how well this is going to show up. We got a box of dirt here. So you've got these two different millipedes here. Obviously, the big bright yellow one is bigger, so that's going to be one of the adults. But then over here, we have a little baby. So that's kind of like the size variation that we're looking at. That is not the smallest that the babies get. That is just the smallest one that I am able to find right now. Um, but yeah, so they're pretty small, and then they can get, like I said, pretty big, probably up to about 2 inches. Let's see. What are the odds that all of these ones are very related to each other? I I don't know, Mini Pearl. They were all scooped from a pretty similar place. Like I said, this was like in a big tree planter on a college campus. We flipped a bunch of rocks and we did kind of go around the whole thing um, and grabbed what we could see on the surface. But then all of this dirt also came from that area. So there's probably babies in here that I didn't know that I scooped up on purpose. There's also all of these other soil organisms. So there's probably springtails, there's probably mites of various sorts. So I imagine there's some degree of relatedness here, but I don't know if they're all like siblings because they didn't all come from under the same rock. Yeah, tiny legs. It's very cute. Uh, Ophelia, you have such a way with words. Um, I recently learned that millipedes, maybe centipedes, I can't remember, can can jork they shit crazy style. And if I have to know that, so do you. Um, yeah, that's millipedes. That's definitely millipedes. They're shit that they be jorking. Ooh, is this one gonna show for us? Why are you just standing up like that? So you're seeing antennae right now. You're seeing little bits of palp. I can't do anything about that glare because this guy is right up against the plastic. So that's what that kind of edge is here. But yeah, you're able to see the eye, and if it'll turn just a little bit more, we might be able to get some mandible. I don't think he's jarking it, Ophelia. I was just trying to show you where uh, the things to jork would be. So um, millipede genitalia is up at the front. It's kind of like one of the early pairs of legs. So let me see if we can sex this one. I picked one of the big ones. Hopefully, we'll be able to see something here. So this is a female. We weren't really able to see much here. Um, Up by the head, right? Three down or something. Yes, very good, Space Camp. I think it's the seventh pair of legs typically that are modified to be the genitalia. Um, that one was a female, but let me see about one of these other slightly larger ones. Porpoise. This one is also female. Let's derail the monorail real quick and see if this one. Yep, okay, so this is a male. Do you guys see where that clump of dirt is? Kind of at the base of that other pair of legs? That's the gonopod that is holding on to this little bit of dirt. So if you look from the side, there's like a single segment that only has one pair of legs on it. So this one, the one that had been going around on our monorail, this little guy right here is a male. That'd be very expensive. Yeah, it would. So it's just a little guy. So yeah, we have we have our own Hanks now. And I've had these before, so they are pretty. I'm excited to have them back again. Um, but a main reason that I was excited to get these is that we have the Florida State Fair coming up in February, and our department does a big outreach thing. And so we have live bug displays every year. And I grabbed these specifically for the state fair. So very excited about that. But, you know, I get to keep them for now as we're going. But let us report back. See how our ants are doing. Not much has changed. We still chilling. Will I keep them after the fair? Yes. It's irresponsible to bring things in where you could potentially introduce diseases to the outside and then release things. So yes, I will certainly keep them after the fair. But so we're still inside the tube. There's 2 ants now that are down in the red. That are down into the red space. But they still have not moved anybody. So there's a possibility that we don't see this move happen tonight. Um, let's hang out here with the ants for a little bit longer, and then we can maybe switch into Tortilla. No, did you miss the new friends? Don't give me any ideas, Granola. Oh, Tortilla, you missed the good stuff. We have bumblebee millipedes now. I know how VODs work. That's true. Ah, hopefully the teeth are okay. Speaking of VODs, we are slowly getting caught up on the YouTube channel. Um, I had this big plan to like get everything on there this weekend, but YouTube has a daily upload limit, which I reached apparently. So we now have October 1st until November 5th, November 3rd up on the YouTube. So the VODs are there. There is no editing happening. These are just straight Twitch to YouTube uploads. Um, I didn't just subscribe. Oh, thanks, guys. I didn't know if this would be a thing that I would do. Um, you know, this is not really. I'm not trying to become a full time streamer. That's like I have a very cushy job that I love doing the thing that I would really like to do. So the streaming is like a fun side thing. So I was like, I'm never gonna upload YouTube videos. But I'm here and I'm talking for like 3 hours at a time. There's good educational content coming out of this. So, um, yes, there are VODs. If you miss anything, you can go back and check some stuff. But yeah, I have several more things to catch up on. Like I said, I reached an upload limit or something on there, but I will put I will put things up as they get there. So once I catch up on uploading everything, I'm hoping that I can have like a very regular upload schedule, like maybe the by the same week. But I don't know. It's not that big of a deal, but it does exist. It does exist, and anytime you want to see the Millipede monorail, once that VOD is uploaded, it's there. Look like they're boxing. It's adorable. TED Talks, but you can heckle. Let's got a little bit better view of Calypso, the queen herself. No, wrong way. So that big mama jamma right there is OG Calypso. She's the queen. She's the one that does all the egg laying. Um, and she's the reason I had to use the Dremel to open up that hole a little bit wider yesterday because I didn't think she was gonna fit down in the hole that I originally made. Because carpenter ants are pretty big. So, what would happen if the queen died? Would they make a new one? All the rest are male? No. They die. The colony dies out. So the queen is the only one that can reproduce. So if she dies, all of these workers will live out their lives. So they're a month and a half, whatever it is. And then once they all pass, there would be no more colony. That's the reason why a lot of those like uh, ant farms for kids don't work very well is because they send you workers, but they don't send queens. So the workers can live for a while, they'll excavate tunnels, they'll do all of those things. But in order to keep a colony going for like multiple years at a time, you need to have a queen who continually lays eggs, so you have people to forage and whatnot. Her holy nation. Same thing would happen to your family. What is the average lifespan for colonies? It varies a lot, Vic. Um, I don't know off the top of my head, what it is for carpenter ants, but they can live for like 10, 15 years. The oldest ant I think that we had on record was like over 20. But there are termites. Termite queens, I think, are some of the oldest lived insects. I know there was a termite that got to be like 40 something, which is crazy. That's just like a crazy thought to me. How long does the queen live, or do others get elected? So yeah, once, like I said, once the queen dies, that's kind of it for that particular colony. At least it would be in the case for this species. There are toes. Hello, Pickle. Welcome in. Look at all of these little ant toes. Um, lots of little legs, lots of little feet going on in here. How long does the queen live, or do others get elected? Okay, so Vic, there are these things that are called polygyne queens, which are ant colonies that have multiple queens. Oh, that's true. Pickle does need to see that. Hopefully he didn't drop our daily dose and leave too quick. Look at them all. So many toes. And tortilla too, since you missed it earlier. These are our new bumblebee millipedes. That do be a toe jackpot for sure. Curious about toes. I thought it was just legs only. Um, so at the very tip of these legs, they have tarsi. So it's sort of like the insect foot, or the insect leg has those 5 segments that we've talked about. Millipede legs have 7 segments, I believe. And so they also have a tarsus, which is going to be interfacing with the soil surface, and that is like the foot, quote unquote. Uh, I would hesitate to say toes because they're not segmented and there's not like multiples of them, but they do have like a very tip piece of the foot that is the part that interfaces with the ground that you could potentially call the toe. In my mind, there's no leg, only toes. That's poetic, Pickle. Coming up at us. And we're back on the monorail. There we go. Dan! Yes, we have our own Hank now. We will have to consider names. Joe is funny. I think Joe Dirt is very funny. Um, but if we have other ideas, I'm unopposed to those either. Tarsi sounds like toes slash fingers. Yes, very true. Joe Dirt is great. Joe, I think we can live with Joe Dirt. I think I'm happy with that. Oh, monorail switching directions. No, coming back. There we go. Back on it. Here we go. And there we go. Appreciate you as always for stopping in, Pickle. I'm glad you got to see the many footed highlight for today. But yes, let me go back and look at these ant questions again. We caught up here before the toes came in. Need to collect the queen on Flying Ant Day. That would be your best chance at getting a species that's local. So, highly recommend that. How does long as the queen live or dealers get elected? Okay, right. So Vic, there are polygynous queens. Poly means many. Gyne means like queen or female or whatever. So there are colonies that will have multiple queens that if one dies, it's totally fine and not a big deal. Because they have replacements that are still able to lay eggs for like workers to help take care of the babies and all that other stuff that the other ants need to do. So in polygynous colonies, if a queen dies, like kind of sucks, but nothing terrible happens. But in Camponotus, so like in this group, if Calypso were to die, the colony would eventually fizzle out. What I was explaining earlier about Tortilla, excellent. We got a toes emote. What I was saying earlier about them reproducing on like the colony level is that the queen is reproducing all the time. She's laying eggs constantly because that is how she gets workers and that is how she gets like foragers to go out and find food for the colony and whatnot, and all that sort of stuff happens with the daughters that she lays. But when a colony gets too big and they're still on the same evolutionary clock, right, of wanting to pass on genes, only the queen can really do that. And so when the colony gets to a certain size and they are ready to reproduce at like the colony level, they will feed the larvae special diet that will turn them into alates, which are founding queens and also males that have wings. So then during the flying ant days, the nuptial flights, they're able to mate with other colonies of the same species of ant that are all flying at the same time. So ant colonies are often described as like a super organism because when they reproduce, it's not the queen herself because she's doing that all the time. It's like at the colony level, the colony is like the whole individual. And so when it is ready to reproduce, that is that is how it gets done. Rumspringa. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Long live Calypso. I hope so, Ophelia. Do you think the Gerudo from the Zelda functioned like an anthill? I don't know enough about Zelda lore to talk about that. But no outsiders allowed in. Sounds very ant-like. Leaving the colony for reproduction. Sounds ant-like. Very rarely do men get born. Correct. When they do, they must leave when they're an adult. That all sounds like ants to me. I know there's the Gerudo Desert. I am aware of that, and I know that that exists, but I don't know anything else about it. Whisper Lancaster wear a dress. I don't know. That's an Ophelia question for sure. Okay, so we have millipedes. The ants are back to not doing much. Um, we have some work to do by way of fixing these forceps. So we are now moving into the sketchy power tool segment. So this is my vice clamp. This is going to hold our forceps. This piece here is going to grab onto the desk. And then up here, this is what's going to actually hold the forceps while we play tools. Pretty stable. And then we will put the forceps in here. But first, we need to mark what we want to do. So these are the forceps. Oops. Playing with tools. Do we need an adult present? No. So this is the tip of the forceps that we're working with. And again, the idea is to cut a notch in this so that it can grab like this, like around the middle of insect labels. And we want it to be centered, as much as we can. So I think these are 5mm tips. Yep. So that's 5mm wide And I am just going to mark my center line so I know roughly where to cut. And I'm going to make this in focus for me for a second. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. I'm going to call that good enough. And we do have 2 pairs of this. So if we fuck it up once, we could also fuck it up a second time. But while we're here, just gonna mark these as well. 1, 2, 3. Roughly down the middle. We can do it like that. Just do it right the first time. I hope so. I hope I do, but I don't know. That feels too bright. That feels better. So now I'm putting the forceps into the clamp. I'm not going to be able to get you guys much closer, so we're going to kind of have to deal with it. But yeah, so the forceps are going to go in here, and they're just going to get tightened down. And there, now we go. That's not going anywhere. Mop, what's up? We're just about to do tool time. Okay, so the forceps are clamped in here. Our tool of choice is this Dremel. So the actual controller unit is over here. And right now, this has this little sanding ball on it. And this is what I was using yesterday to clear out some of that plaster in the ant cage. So this is like a very rough sandpapery ball, and we were able to sand out some of that that extra plaster that we didn't need. But that's not what we're able to do. We can't use that to cut a notch. So we have to use our trusty little screwdriver, or our trusty little wrench, excuse me, and take this attachment off. So now that's locked. Okay, great. Ball has come out. Now we replace it with this cutting wheel. So this is reinforced, so hopefully it's not going to break on me. It's one of the thin ones, so hopefully we don't cut through we don't cut through too deep, or like the channel that we cut is not too wide. And there's a little screw on the top of here that tightens the little mount to hold the cutoff wheel. So now that has been tightened. And we are more or less ready to go. So the plan is I'll have it turned on, and I can brace my hand against the vise here. and I'll just be able to tap this down while it's cutting. Now, the problem with this is that it's 100% going to kick sparks at me. So, for all of you asking about safety regulations, I have eye protection. I should probably grab a thing so I'm not breathing dust particles. So let me. Should I be using like an N95? Probably. But we still got leftover COVID masks, baby. So we're just going to put this on so I don't breathe in metal shavings. And then, yeah, my glasses, they're good enough for most people to count as safety goggles. So we are also going to count them as safety goggles for our purposes here. Ear protection. We'll be fine. So this has adjustable speeds. Right now it's at 10,000 RPM, but it goes all the way up to 35,000. We don't need 35,000. We're probably going to set it to like 15 or 20. And just see how the cuts go. And then we can adjust it from there. So we'll start it low. Okay, so we've learned a couple things. I think we might need the second pair. It's not the worst. It's not the worst thing. It is a little wonky. Good night, Space Camp. Thanks for hanging out. That could be worse. I know. Oh, you guys can't see it right now. Hold on. It's a little off center. It's a little off center, but I think it'll do its job, what I want it to do. You know, if I have. Oh. Who'd have thunk that cutting them would make it hot? But, like, it functions how I want it to grab labels. So this is not, like, the prettiest product, but it worked. I corrected it at the end. Yeah, definitely saved it. But, yeah, so see, like, I'm around the pin. I'm able to move it up and down freely, as opposed to, like, using one of these pairs where you grab it and it like twists the label. So it does what I want it to do, but does it kind of look like a crab claw? Both things can be true. It can function, and it can kind of look like a crab claw. Unless you're saying it's hot, do not understand. It wasn't that hot, Lily. I didn't burn myself, so it definitely got better at the end. I went in too deep. I went in at a bad angle on this side. So this is functional. This is functional for what I wanted. But now, how would I improve the second one? If they sold them like this, Vic, we wouldn't be playing around with it. This is a forcep design that I saw someone with this summer, and I had not seen before that. So these are they sell the spade tips. These are sold as like Lepidoptera forceps sometimes, but I actually bought these from a stamp supply store. So like stamp collectors will use these types of forceps as well. But they don't sell them that they're already notched. So these were proof of concept sort of things because again we're going to be moving on to digitizing soon at the collection that I work at, and so didn't want to slide when you're getting started. I didn't feel it slide. I think I just wasn't. If I'm situated right behind it, so like able to fully see where everything is, I'm just gonna get the dust bits kicked. Started cutting the line along the force to move it up. Aha! Noomba, that's smart. That's an idea. Um, but anyway, so we are potentially going to be removing a lot of labels coming up here soon. And so I was like, oh, I had a friend that had these things that these might be able to help us with this situation. So I bought a couple of cheap pairs of these, just these two, to prototype and kind of be like, hey, yeah, look, this is what I was talking about. Um, I corneal fixation forceps. Let me Google that. Fears for Years. Hello. Welcome in. Thanks for stopping by. Corneal. Oh, okay. Those have to be $1,000 though. Yeah, one of those is like $200. I want to help you cut straight stuff, and I'm so bad explaining. It's crazy. I think Noomba's got a. I think Noomba's got a case here of trying to cut the line first, and then go around the tips. So we're gonna try that with number 2 here. So the other thing that I was thinking was if I mount this way, so I switch the vise from going like this to going like this. The forceps would be flat, and I would be able to get a better down angle than straight on the top. This here is not flying. You can rest on the vise. Yeah. Okay, I think we're cooking. So now the vise is moved sideways, and I can have my hand here on the table, and I have a better look at what straight down is. Right? This makes sense? If I mess them up, I'll just buy some more and we can keep iterating on this. But I think the the end goal, if we are making a bunch of these for work, we have a machine, like we have a maintenance shop that probably has a better tool than this little flimsy handheld Dremel to do it. So again, proof of concept. We're gonna see if this works. We'll see how this does. But then I can take it into work and be like, hey, can you guys do something better than this? Can you guys make this look kind of not like shit? Because I also imagine that there has got to be skinnier cutting blades for this thing. But these were what I bought, so we're trying again. Round 2. It'd be so easy on a bandsaw. This how you hold it back. Yeah. All right, we're caught up. Fuck it, we ball. Round 2. Okay. Okay. So that feels way better. We're not done. We're not done. But look at that. That's so much better. It's a lot straighter at least. The problem is, did not go through the other side. But I have the guide started up here now. So if I just flip it over and do the same thing on this side, we should be good. So I'm going to do that. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everybody nodding. Hell yeah. All right. Round 2, part 2, baby. Oh, my wheel looks fine. No, nothing wrong. All right. Here we go. Okay. We've cooked here, chat. Fucking Gordon Ramsay in this bitch. Um, could we clean up this middle section? Afton, hello, thank you. 4 months. You just missed power tool time. um, but yeah, I think I should be able to clean this up a little bit. The edges are kind of shit. There's some pretty big burrs here on the edge that I don't like. But I do have sanding wheels and buffers to like take care of that. It's not that different. I mean, the top one is like miles away better looking. But the bottom one is just as functional. It's not like I couldn't use both of these. But if we're going to be making them at scale, and by scale meaning like I'll probably make 10 of these. This is fine. This is like more than adequate for doing what we wanted it to do. Um, Sick. Nailed that one. This one, the top one here, definitely way nicer. Um, but that's, oh yeah, that is quite rough. It's functional but uncentered. Aren't we all a little bit functional but uncentered? Yeah, so the edges of these definitely need to be cleaned up. That's a that's a problem, but these will work. These will do what I need them to do. So, uh, I'll take these to work tomorrow and show them off to everybody. Be like, hey, look what we got. Clappy, 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 clappy. A little funky but gets the job done. Hell yeah. All right, sick. Well, I think that's everything that the stream title had promised. We got new animal. We got ants. We got questionable use of power tools. All right, let's go back to our ants and see how they're doing. The answer is they ain't doing shit. Problems though when freshness when it comes to that's totally real, Lily. I I am function over form. If it kind of looks like shit, but it gets the job done, I am more happy with that than if it were to look nice but not do what I needed it to do. Um, which is why I feel like I've never been good at like crafts that take a ton of attention. Um, just because like yeah, it works. I don't really care if it doesn't look that great, but it works. Oh, Afton, we're moving. We're moving them. So I have this is a new box with their old tube in it. And I'm trying to get them to leave their old tube and go down this hole here, which goes into this underground cave that I made. Well, there's an ant in there. There is one in there. So this is their new underground section. I made a new ant colony for, or like a new formicarium or ant nest for them over the weekend. And so we're waiting for them to move the brood and the queen and everybody down here under this section of glass, which does have the red film over it. So right now, they're out in the light, but we're trying to convince them to go into the dark under the red. Because this whole section here, you're going to have to use your imagination because we can't really show all of it at once. But they have this nice new underground cave for them. So they have all this space to have this new colony layout. but they're still in their tube, which is this piece that's still over top of it right now. So we are hoping to get them to move into this little hole down here. And it seems like there's one that is staying down. Now, as I say that, of course, he runs up. The spider behind. Oh, no. This is the entrance to their new, improved nesting grounds. They just don't know that they're excited about it yet. So this one worker has found its way in and has been poking around in there for a little while and is getting out and going back into the tube now to, I hope, talk to the other ants. And the idea with them having the this desk lamp on them is that because their tube is uncovered now and there's light on them, they feel like they're exposed. And we want them to go under the red where it's dark so they can nest. But they're not moving. We've done this for 3 hours now. Lyndon, hello. Welcome in. We're playing with ants right now. So this is Calypso. She is my Florida carpenter ant colony. This is Camponotus floridanus. And over the weekend, I built them a nice new little nest box, and they're not going in yet. They're just chilling here. So we're waiting patiently for them to go down into the new box. But we've been going for almost 3 hours, and they haven't decided to go down into the box yet. So this might be a Code Veronica situation where they're not doing what we expect them to. But I have faith that they will move eventually. There's just so much more space down there. They'll be good in here for like a couple hundred workers right now when there's only like 20. So yeah, this is in theory quite exciting content. If the ants were to be moving things, but they're not. You can see Calypso herself. Right there. That big chunk is the queen herself. She was wild caught during a nuptial flight, meaning like the stage where the colonies reproduce over the summer. And she has laid all these eggs and raised all these babies up, and we're trying to get them to move this entire little colony down through that little nest hole that we made. And again, they're just not going for it yet. Definitely leads me into the cave. No, Afton. No. They got to make their own decision because not only do they have to move Calypso and all these workers, they have a ton of brood in there as well. So they've got a lot of eggs and pupae that they'll need to move. And that is part of the process. So let's see. Is there any that's like super visible? Not really. It's all kind of under Calypso at the moment. But we hope. I also hate moving. That's so real. What's the plan if they don't decide to move? Let them. We're not going to shake them. That's not going to happen. Um, there's nothing wrong with what they're doing right now. It's not what we want them to do because they don't really understand like the better setup yet. Because remind you, these are all new ants that have only known this test tube and the little setup around it for their entire life. So it's not like these are wild ants that like understand exploration and whatnot. These are like indoor only animals. Um, so leaving the nest tube that they're in right now inside of this tank until they decide to move is fine. They I can feed them, I can water them, they will be perfectly happy in here, but they will eventually get the gist and be like, "Oh, so that's what we were supposed to be doing this whole time." Um I'm not going to force them. I'm just going to let it go. Hopefully next stream like on Wednesday for pre-chat chats, uh we will have an update, but it's fine if they don't want to do that. Um, I just recently, like maybe a month and a half ago, I had to change her test tube because the water reservoir in the back was pretty much all dried up. So they weren't able to, there wasn't like water access for them. So at that point, I did have to dump them out, and they did not like that. And even when I put a new test tube back um, in the same space, in the same place, in the same configuration in which they had had it their entire life, it still took them like 3 or 4 days to decide to move back into the test tube. So, leaving relative comfort for the unknown is understandably kind of scary. So, they're not going crazy yet. But funny you would say that, Lyndon. We have had a couple of workers going in. The first one went down the hole here like maybe 30 seconds after we put the tube in. And there have been steady numbers of them going in to explore and double check that this area under the red glass is like safe. But none of them have started moving brood yet, and they haven't moved the queen yet. The most ants that I've seen under here in the new situation so far at one time is 3, which is pretty good out of like 20 workers or so, but they haven't started moving everything yet. So we're just waiting to see if slash when they start carrying stuff down. I would love to be able to watch them like carry the eggs and stuff down, but I just feel like they aren't going to do it tonight. If they haven't already started, they might not do it for a little while yet. Um, it's crazy just to leave stream up, right? Like if I go to bed and just upload my title as like AFK, because then we'd still have the VOD and still be able to maybe see the ant cam. Time lapse. Okay, okay, okay. Mm, I don't know. I'll have to think about that. I'll bet it's a 24-hour live stream. But if focus on actually, I'm not worried about that. I'm a little worried about that. Not like a ton, but like a little bit. Um, Yeah, I probably can't tonight. I have one. I forgot one of my students has grad apps due coming up, and I need to read a personal statement tonight. That's what I was saying, Afton. But I don't think I can tonight. 24-hour live ant cams though. Something to think about. Once this colony gets really bumping, if I have like a dedicated top down camera, that could be pretty sick. Because the other thing right now is I love the stream. Everything is great. Uh this is not a particularly exciting view. If we were able to see uh the whole container at once, I would be maybe more inclined to allow that to happen, to put that up. But right now there's like so few workers, and the microscope is on like such a specific part of the colony. I don't. Ant cam is something to consider for the future. We're not going to have ant cam tonight. We can't do it tonight, and that's that. But I really do wish they would do something. Watch tomorrow morning. I'm going to come back in, and they're just going to already be moved. No, Afton, this is as far out as the microscope zooms. Um, we could like we have the full cam, but my laptop would have to be like way bent over, and it wouldn't be thing. So this is all the way out, but we can zoom like all the way in and get these really tight shots on stuff. Like these are the bubbles in the bottom of the plaster that are coming into view now. So that's all the way in. But this view that we had of just the nest entrance is all the way out that I have right now. Throwing a wish list with stuff that I need things for ants. Guess when I told Job company wanted to kill bees because last year she had bees and then her loquat fruits got black spots. If anything, bees are probably good for loquat, right? One would think. It's crazy the type of stuff that you hear from the general public about bugs. Like some of the most absurd things that I've ever encountered have been like trying to talk to the general public about insects and what they do. The thing is that it is very hard to convince someone with your expertise over what they think happened when they're the ones that experienced it. This is specifically coming from talking about things like brown recluse bites and things like that, things that are incredibly overdiagnosed and not nearly as dangerous as everyone makes them seem. And as an entomologist who knows that and has worked with arachnologists, and like the arachnologists are like, yeah, human doctors can't diagnose this. Um, I believe them, but everyone's brother's cousin's aunt got bit by a brown recluse and almost lost her arm, and it's very hard to fight that perceived lived experience with actual expertise. when whatever happened to brother's cousin's aunt or whatever I said earlier was probably like staph infection or MRSA or some shit like that. So it is frustrating, but being being able to articulate those things and have those conversations is all part of quote unquote the job, you know, even if it's not something that you do professionally. um Presenting true information and like dealing with as best you can people arguing about it. um you know it is part of the whole thing. Okay, I am going to hang on to you guys for approximately 5 more minutes, and hopefully by that point Shruti is live. I just checked her Instagram and she is planning to go live in 3 minutes. So I will pass you off there, so I can go do my paper editing and whatnot, and hopefully leave these ants in some peace. The first time I met a brown recluse, it was in the pants I was putting on, and it bit me largely as a pet. Absolutely. When I moved to Kansas for my master's, I found one on the back of my toilet, like in the new apartment that I was moving into, and I was stoked. I was so excited. Um, yeah, my first bug pet ever was a black widow. Um, that I eventually got like tattooed on me. So I have a picture of my first bug pet ever tattooed uh, on my leg. But yeah, brown recluses are sick. I had a recluse for a very long time, and sadly enough for me, they don't occur in Florida. Try telling that to everyone. Um, but yeah, recluses are fun. They're very easy to keep as pets too. Super, super, super easy. Show us or it didn't happen. I don't know how much thigh I want to show on stream. You guys got to pay more for that. But here it is. This was no, no. This was it. Super fresh. So you can see pictures of leg, but no more. Yeah, so that was my first tattoo. Mom Tomology and my dad are both pretty heavily tattooed, or were both pretty heavily tattooed. Um, and after my dad passed, my mom was like, "Oh, you should think about maybe getting a family memorial tattoo, whatever sort of thing." And I was like, I don't know, I don't what I want to get. But my mom and him both had like a matching Black Widow tattoo, so I was like, oh, a Black Widow would be fun because I'm getting into insects, right? Like I'm getting into entomology, if that's a whole thing. And it would still be like a family tattoo, like all of us have the Black Widow. Except their Black Widows are kind of shitty. So I sent like a billion reference photos because I had a ton from having her name was Natalia. Uh, I had all these reference photos, and I was like, listen, I need all 8 legs to be visible. I need this. I need this. I need this. And I got there, he had a bunch of different designs, but then the branch, like with the web strands and everything, that was like exactly one of the photos. And I was like, that wasn't an inspiration. You just like took the photo. He's like, I really like the composition on it. Like, I think the web lines and everything were really, really cool. Like, if you want to do that one, like, I think we should. And I said, yeah, like, let's go for it. But I need you to um, separate the hourglass. So there are actually three species of black widow in the US. There is a northern, a southern, and a western. And southern black widows are the ones that you typically think of that have like the very connected, very clean hourglass shape. Northern black widows are a little bit messier. They don't have as defined of an hourglass. So they usually have sort of have like red blotches underneath where it's not connected in the middle and it's not very clear triangles. Um, and since I'm from Pennsylvania and this was like a family tattoo, I was like, it would make sense for it to be a northern black widow because Pennsylvania is north. But the picture that I had, the reference photo that I had was a southern black widow. So I was like, hey, like, I need that thing. And the guy's like, wait, why? And I was like, well, there's three species of black widow. And he was like, there's three species of black widow. um, so that was like a fun conversation to have of like, yeah, I need this one tiny thing tweaked for it to be accurate. But then I got my other tattoo artist. So my main tattoo artist who did this one and 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 a bunch of others that I have. She was one of my former entomology students. So like I had her in class and she was her notes were phenomenal. She was drawing all these structures and at one point she gave me a sticker with a really cool like cat skull with antlers on like a raven body. I was like, unironically, this would be a really sick tattoo. And she goes, oh yeah, like I'm actually applying for tattoo apprenticeships and stuff now. Uh, so I was like, perfect. So when she did eventually like get her apprenticeship and everything, this one, uh, easy to show. This one here, this giant mesquite bug, this was her first tattoo on a person. Um, I guess I should say a person like from the general public. She had tattooed other people from her shop and everything. But yeah, so this was her first tattoo. And then she did a bunch more. Like I said, a lot of these up on my arms, but then she also did um I have a springtail, I have a mole cricket, I've got a big earwig on the back of my leg, I have like a big Ocotillo desert scene on my leg as well, and a big longhorn beetle on my shin. Um, so she's great. She was a phenomenal tattoo artist, friend of mine. So like obviously that helped, but because all of my stuff that I was getting was like so incredibly specific, I was like, hey, like I know it's really annoying, but I need you to add like this one little thing or tweak this one little thing. And she was always happy to do it because she knew that it like she knew that it would be bad for me to have like a bad bug tattoo. So that was like honestly one of a very very hard thing about moving was losing my tattoo artist. So next time I go back to Arizona, I'm gonna have to load up. But yeah, she does great work. I've uh have I posted it in Bugcord? I don't know if I have. Um, I've posted these elsewhere, I think, but again, you don't get the leg shows for free. But it's my mole cricket that's on the outside of my left knee. And then this is my globular springtail that's on the outside of my right leg. And then you guys have seen this one on stream. This one was like when I was walking away at the bug light, but I got a big earwig. This is on the back of my right leg. And this was one of those things too. The number of antennal segments or the number of abdominal segments on the earwig matter, so I had to do that. Glad your tattoo artist listened by biology. Yes, yes, it is very very anxious. It's when they don't do that. Click beetle. So these ones are easier to see here probably. So I've got a click beetle on my arm. I have the jewel scarab on my arm. This is the front of my left shin. My big old longhorn beetle. What now? There we go. And a lot of these were taken like right after they were done, so they're super fresh and a little bit red. Um, and then this one is a little desert scene. Mom Tomology actually has this one too. This is one that we both have. There's Ocotillo in the back, which is like my favorite desert plant. And then there's a bighorn sheep skull at the bottom. And then there is a little bug in there. It's one of the Eleodes, the desert stink beetles. So it's there in front of the skull. Uh, I wanted it to be a deserty tattoo. I wanted it to be like Arizona, but still had to have a bug in it. Frankenbug tattoo. Oh, never. You can't frank the bugs. That's crazy. So that was you saw the Black Widow, and then this was my second tattoo. This is a bumblebee that I have on my left thigh, and this one's kind of inaccurate, and it's embarrassing now, and I don't love it, but it's there. The wing venations on here is not correct. So, yeesh, 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 yeesh. Cringy. Um, it's been struggling to commit to any species. That's I worried about that at first, Lyndon. Um, like I said, my dad was super heavily tattooed. My mom has a lot of tattoos as well, and they were like, when I was like 16, they were like, yeah, if you want a tattoo, whatever, that's fine. And I don't think I didn't get my first tattoo until I was like 21 because I was indecisive about what I was gonna get. But then I got the bumblebee like 2 weeks later, and then some of them are meaningful and like have stories behind them, like the this one here, the clown beetle. This is another Momtomology special. Um, she wanted to get a bug tattoo, and I gave her a big book of beetles, and I was like, "Yeah, pick one." And she liked Spalodiscus americanus, so we went with it. So like that one, the Black Widow, mean things. This one here, this R8 wing tag, is the wing tag of the first California condor that I ever saw. So some of these do have meaning behind them, but a lot of them the meaning is that bugs are fucking cool. So like the click beetle down here, this was just like on her flash sheet. So I was like, oh, yeah, okay, I'll get that. Um, and I would like one tattoo for every insect order. So I've got Orthoptera, I've got Coleoptera, I've got Hymenoptera. Oh, I've got Diptera. I have a little mosquito on my ankle that I didn't show you. I only have it in the composite here with some of my other tattoos. But I have a mosquito leaving little bites on my ankle. And then this one is on my wrist. That's wolf spider eyes here. Um, but yeah, so I would like to get all the different orders, which means that I need a silverfish at some point. I need some really obscure stuff. But yeah, we got time. Not a big deal. We'll get there. We'll get there. Your Bombus sonoris tat is 5% inaccurate. Ooh, only 5%. That's pretty good. Acrophylla alta. Acrophylla. Is that the big stick? Right? It's like the giant stick insect. Cherry soda. That would be sick. That would take up like your entire arm though. Newly discovered one. Very cool. Been saying for years that if I ever do commit to a tattoo, it'll be a mosquito. So I got that one in January of 2019. Yeah. So one of my favorite musicians, his name is Watsky. He is a white Jewish rapper from San Francisco. And he has a song called Cannonballs where he talks about getting his first tattoo. And he says, my first tattoo is going to be of bug bites. Commemorate their bloody drink by printing 3 circles on my ankle, perfect in pink, in permanent ink. And in that song, he was also talking about growing up across from. My chat's fucking based as hell if y'all know Watsky. That's so sick. Um, but he talks about growing up off of Fulton and Fourth, right across from Golden Gate Park. And my Airbnb for the week and a half that I was working at the Cal Academy, I was off of Fulton and 7th. So I had to walk by Fulton and Fourth, like his childhood house, like every day when I was going to work. And so I was like, oh, that would be cool if I would get a mosquito tattoo biting the little 3 circles on my ankle, perfect in pink and permanent ink. And I didn't have very many at the time. I think it was my 4th tattoo total. And there was a tattoo shop that I would walk by, and I was like, oh, maybe if I checked their reviews and they're good, maybe I'll get it. And I checked the reviews when I got home, and it was like one of the best rated shops in town. And I was like, well, okay. So I stopped in the next day as I was like walking back from working at the Cal Academy, and I was like, hey, I'm here for a couple more days and I'm looking to get a mosquito on my ankle. And the guy goes, do you want to do it right now? I was like, oh, I guess. So I sat down and I was getting. What did he get big from? He got big. Uh, White Kid Raps Fast was his like big blow up. But he did like spoken word poetry and stuff before that, and then a couple of other things. But anyway, so I was in San Francisco at a tattoo shop like 3 blocks away from this intersection that he mentions in this song, getting a mosquito tattoo of, because of his lyrics. And it just so happened to be the same night that he was releasing a new album. So he was doing like a live stream thing while I was actively getting a tattoo of this thing that he talked about. Um, and yeah, Watsky's like definitely one of my top musicians. I have seen him. Oh God, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've probably seen him like going on 10 times now. I've seen him in Pennsylvania. I've seen him in Florida a couple times. I saw him in Kansas. I saw him in Oklahoma. I saw him in Nebraska. I saw him in Arizona. Um, so yeah, definitely one of my top musicians. Love his stuff, and I showed him the tattoo eventually because he also does have um, just 3 big pink circles on his ankle. So like from the song, he has those tattoos. I added the mosquito obviously to be like bug related or whatever, but he also has one, sort of on like over here on his like back, sort of on his ribs, of a fly, and he got that tattoo in um, Brazil when he went down for a tour, and he thought that he had a bot fly. He like I had a meet and greet with him like sometime sort of during COVID. I think it would have been like late 2021. And I showed him the thing. He's like, "Oh hey, like let me show you this." And he like takes his shirt off. And I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa! What are we doing here?" Um, and it was like it was definitely like a tattoo that you would get kind of on a street corner somewhere. But it was really cool that he had a bug. Um, and I had him draw. I just asked him to draw a beetle on the back of one of my business cards. So I have that somewhere that I do eventually want to get tattooed. And then he also did an art auction at one point, where you paid no, $25 and you got a custom doodle based off of one of his lyrics, and you could ask for whatever you wanted. And he has another song that says something about forever stuck at anchor like beetles get stuck in amber. And so I have a pretty cool drawing of that from him as well. Uh, so yeah, uh, that was my tattoo tour. Unexpected addition to tonight's stream, but yeah, very sick that y'all like Watsky. That's pretty sick, definitely. Mosquito tattoo. Let's look at Louis first time in person. This is my first tattoo. That's what I meant at the time. Mosquitoes. That's funny, Tortilla. Um, but yeah, thanks y'all for hanging out. We tried to move the ants. Hopefully, I'll have an update for you on Wednesday. Um, we saw the new millipedes, so that was pretty exciting, and we played with power tools and didn't mess it up too bad. So all in all, pretty successful, I would say. Um, things that are upcoming. So Wednesday we have normal pre-chat chats going into regular chat chats over on Alveus. Sunday, the 20th at noon Alveus time, we have collab of the year, Evan X Dr. Julie chat chats talking about insect societies and insect social interactions. So extra special collab chat chats. Yes, exactly, Tortilla. So that's this Sunday at noon Alveus time. And then if everything stays on schedule, next Monday's stream, so this time slot next week will be PC building with guest star Logan. So we'll see how that goes, and then we'll have like an actual PC to run shit off of, and not my little laptop that tries to uh, take off. And I think that's all I got for updates for this week. It's going to be an exciting upcoming week of interesting slash special streams. We'll certainly miss you next Monday. Okay, that's you're good, Tortilla. Not a problem. All good. But thank you all again for hanging out. It is always such a blast. I always have quite fun. And yeah, thank you for all the new follows and the resubs and everything. You guys are pretty great. I am going to send y'all over to Shruti now, and y'all can hang out with them. I have 80 on Sunday. That's excellent. Sick, Linda. Thanks for the update, and thank you for popping in and hanging out. Nice to meet you a little bit more. All right, bye y'all. Gonna send y'all over to Shruti. Good night. Good night, everybody. Have fun. Bye.